I often read about a garage sale in which somebody sells a picture frame, somebody opens it up, and they find the Constitution worth millions of dollars and sold it for 20 bucks. They didn't realize what they actually had. And so too, we all have as an inheritance something so deep and relevant. Not just deep, but deep and every second relevant that I'm going to transfer to you tonight. We mentioned that if things have a purpose, they have a pattern. Something has a purpose. We believe the world has a purpose. So there's a pattern, there's an evolutionary growth and development to it that makes sense. It's not random. So when we look at the calendar, the holidays, you could look at the national calendar and February and Valentine's Day, and it's National Chocolate Mint Day on February 19th. It's random things. There's no flow to that. There's no pattern. But when we look at the Jewish people in history, we see that the purpose has a pattern. There's a development. And what we're looking at is that we left Egypt to receive the Torah in a 50-day time period. And that growth of a nation mimics the growth of an individual. That we ourselves are growing, and we could learn, copy and paste from what we see in Jewish history and apply that to our own lives in general. So this is the wrap-up of the series. I'm going to focus in on this concept that we receive the Torah 50 days after leaving Egypt. And that holiday is coming up. We're going to celebrate. It's called Shavuos, the giving, the receiving of the Torah. What does that mean, the receiving of the Torah? How do you receive it? It's like a diploma. What did we receive? So in order to get any intelligence, you have to ask questions. You are what you ask. So I'm going to ask these questions in order to open up our minds that we could hear it clear. So I'm asking, it's not rhetorical, but I'm really trying to ask to evoke a larger picture of clarity. So here are my questions. Number one, we received the Torah on Mount Sinai. Did we really receive the whole Torah? Seems that we received the 10 Commandments. Is it the Torah or the 10 Commandments? And what are the 10 Commandments? They're not actually 10 Commandments, they're 10 statements. What is that? And how does that called receiving of the Torah? That's one question. And my second question is that we see an interesting pattern by this reality called receiving of the Torah. And that is that we break the confines of time. There are three specific instances in which physical world has no bearing. Number one, as you know, that the 10 Commandments, when they were initially given over to us, it was given over in one statement, in one dibur, one outpour, and in all that were all 10. All 10 statements were in that one. Why? Why? Of what purpose would that be? It's not a magic trick. Why would God give us the 10 Commandments first in one sentence that a human being cannot naturally comprehend? The next question says that all the souls of the Jewish people were there. Again, we live in a physical world that's bound by time and space. Time means I'm here now, I'm not where I was, and I'm not where I will be. And space, and we're in a zone that limits us. The people, the Jewish people that were to be born but had yet to be born, their souls were at Sinai. Why? Why again are we breaking the confines of the physical world? And the third example is that it says that the call, the shofar, the sound of the shofar, it exists and it goes on eternally. To this day we hear it, the sound of the shofar in its blast. Why? A song is limited, a note is limited, music is limited. The sound of the shofar is blowing right now. That breaks the confines of time. So what is this 10 Commandments, and why by the holiday of Shavuos do we see this whole not dealing with the elements of the physical world, which is time? Why do we break time in the realm of Shavuos? So to answer this and to put it into a deeper context, it goes like this, that we all know now as we speak that there's got to be a bigger world. There has to be something more than this. Meaning that everybody knows deep inside you feel innately uncomfortable in human existence, and that you are driven for something that's bigger. It can't just be that one day our student loans will be forgiven, one day interest rates will go down, sharper image will come back, credit will be for free, and everything will work out, and it can't just be good in this world that we have now, but debt-free. Can't be. We all know, we itch, we don't know what it's like, but we know as we speak, there's got to be something that's beyond this world. And we know that there is. That this is not, what you see is not what you get. That we, as the Jewish people, are the torchbearers for the idea that this is not it. So Abraham, one Jewish man in a desert over 4,000 years ago, has this idea that no, they're not multiple gods and multiple worlds. It's all one. It's all interconnected. You could think that we would never hear from that person again, and yet he is the revolutionary of all civilization, that the world is one. And he develops the Jewish people that go down to Egypt and are trapped in Egypt, and they leave Egypt. They don't leave Egypt just to be free. They leave Egypt in order to receive the Torah. The concept of Egypt, when we say the word Egypt, Egypt in Hebrew is Mitzrayim, which means constricted, that we're held back by the physical world. But we were to be tapped into a realm that there's something that's beyond this physical world. So when we say we left the confines of Egypt, we left the confines of being restricted. The day of when we leave Egypt, it extends for 7 days, and on the 7th day we go through the sea, and the sea splits. And on that point, we sang song. We mentioned, why is the reaction to the sea splitting song? How does sea splits go together with song? Because the concept is that on that 7th day when we left Egypt, 7 is the number that represents the physical world, we saw a window, a sunroof beyond that physical world, that there's something higher. And we connected to that through the realm of song. 7 and above 7 is the realm called 8, that is beyond nature. Now, that realm that happened in a miniature way in leaving Egypt and connecting higher through the splitting of the sea, what was that realm of splitting of the sea? Who cares if the sea splits? Let it split, let it not split. What does it mean to me? It means that it was a physical revelation that all nature hangs on one singular cord. All of nature, every molecule in the universe, all 4 billion cells in your body, and in all of the universe hangs and has one specific connected electrical cord. And there is no limitation in real life. In real life, this dimension is false. There's a world in which everything is one, and from that angle, this is all a dream. This is all a non-reality. There's a world that's higher as we speak now. And that revelation, when we popped out, the sea split, it means there are no limitations. The land, sea, it's all one. There's nothing limiting us. So when we left Egypt and went through the sea, we saw the word that the world is not as we see it, that there's something beyond, and that everything hangs on a deeper level. Now, 50 days, we count 49 days, and the 50th day is the time period of Shavuos. Why do we count 49 days? The concept is that now that we saw that revelation, we want to build up to that realm. And again, we have to first walk through 7 before you get to 8. You have to deal with nature before you deal with the supernatural. God created the body, and in that he put a soul. So the square root of 7 is 49. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 to the max. The physical world to the max. That's what we need as the preparation to receive the Torah on the 50th day. So 8 is to 7 as 50 is to 49. A little SAT rewind trauma possibly. The concept is that 8 is to 7 like 50 is to 49. You go through the physical world, and now you pop up to something deeper and higher. We counted 7 times 7. The 50th day is when you break on through. The 50th day is when you connect. That's why the day of Shavuos, the day of the giving of the Torah, it's not mentioned in the Torah, because it's something that's not mentionable. It's not something that's you're able to verbalize, to put syllables to that. It's something that is elusive. And that's why in the first blast of Mount Sinai, the Torah came in 10 commandments that was balled up into one statement that penetrated us, that changed our stature forever. When we had that one pop out, that forever, and we were all there, etched into our souls on a deep level that there is something higher. We, on a spiritual, subconscious level, all experience that breakout, that bust out, that there's something higher and beyond this world. And then, afterwards, God spoke out all of the 10 commandments. But the first 2 we heard directly from God, we understood it innately, and the other 8 Moses explained. Now, in general, the 10 commandments correspond to all of the mitzvahs. But why the first 2 we heard directly from God? The first one is Anochi, that I am God, the belief in God. That we believe that this is not all that we see, there's something more. And the second one is Lo Yilecha, don't serve idols. Meaning you could believe in God, but you could say there's God, the most dominant force, but there are other smaller forces around. No, we believe that this is all that there is. There's all one, that it's all connected. These 2 realms we heard directly. They're etched inside of us. If somebody needs IV, so you put a port in their arm, and then anything that they need to have, you'll be able to put that in an intravenous manner. We, in our souls, heard not from Moses, not from a prophet. We ourselves experienced this cosmic, beyond time and nature realm, and in that we clearly understood there is, and therefore I will not acknowledge other things. There is a unifying force that gives us life as we speak now, and there isn't anything else. I don't acknowledge there are other forces. I see it fully and clearly as all one. All positive commandments are rooted in that first one of Anochi, the belief. Everything you do in a positive sense, you're establishing. Every mitzvah, every action you do, you're establishing that belief. And don't have false gods. Every time you refrain from doing a negative act, you're not believing in a false god. These are the first 2 primary realms. So that's why the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai had to be a not physical bound zone. We ask the question, why do we find these anomalies specifically by the giving of the Torah? That God gave over the Torah in one sentence, all of the 10 commandments, what a person couldn't speak? Why? We were all there. Why all of a sudden does time stop and that all souls come together? A sound goes out and it keeps going. It's not bound by time. Why is there the breaking of time and space in this zone? The answer is because this is the crack in the wall, the crack in the ceiling. This is where we get the directions of how. We learned from the going out of Egypt that there's a world beyond this world. But how? How do I connect that? That will be a tease if you just tell me, yeah, there's a world beyond this world, but I'm not going to tell you how to get there. No, that there's a world beyond, that we learned from the going out of Egypt. How we connect to that realm that is beyond this realm, that we received on Mount Sinai. That was our connection point. And that's why there's no bound. We were all there because for us to function, we all need to experience it. Wait a second. How could I be there? I'm here. Because time is an illusion. in a quantum entanglement sense. We're here, and there's another dimension as we speak where we're not here. And that's possible. The belief in that there is something beyond gives us this possibility, not in a back to the future time travel sense, but in a real sense, we go beyond this world. So for all of us in the now, it's the realization that we don't learn Torah, we remember it. Something different. We don't learn it, oh, this is something new I never heard before. We remember it. We regain what we lost. We all have the port in our brain to receive it. And in a microcosmic sense, that was it. That was the concentrated drop of the blueprint of how we connect to that world. And now when you study one word of Torah in every place, that word that you study is connected to the whole thing. This is all you hear, this is worth it. When you study something specific, I'm studying the laws of giving charity. Well, that's not the whole purpose of the universe, but everything when it was given was all connected as one. So when I learn something that's specific, it appears to be as being specific, but it's not specific. It's part of something bigger. Laced into these words of Torah, there is a cosmic ability to connect to a consciousness that is beyond this world now, at this moment. When we learn, we connect. That's why the blessing that you say before you learn Torah is, we say, Asher Bachar Banu, that he chose us from other nations. V'nasan lanu es Torah. So, nasan, past tense, he gave us the Torah. But then when we make the blessing, how does it end off? Baruch atah Hashem, no saying HaTorah. He gives the Torah. Wait a minute, flag, that's grammatically incorrect. You just said past tense, God gave us the Torah. Now you're making a blessing, God gives us the Torah. The first thing is historical, and the second thing is actual. Historically speaking, God gave the Torah, but that reality was given in a zone that does not know time. And therefore, me in this now, I'm receiving it now. No saying HaTorah means it's happening as we speak in the present tense. We have the ability to connect to that reality. So that, as we mentioned before, that when you count the letters of the 10 Commandments, it happens to equal 620. Count the letters, you have the sheet, 620, corresponding to the 613 mitzvahs plus the 7 mitzvahs that all of humanity is commanded in. That's a icing on the cake, that's the ice cream at the end of a meal. But to see the correspondence, it goes again with what we said. Things that have a purpose have a pattern. There are 613 mitzvahs. There are 7 mitzvahs that all nations are obligated in. That equals 620. The exact letters in the 10 Commandments in every Torah and every synagogue throughout thousands of years are 620. It shows the correspondency that it's all ultimately one. And the ice cream on that cake is that when you take the number 620, that spells, all the great Kabbalists speak out, that spells the word Keser. Keser means a crown. The crown that a person wears is when that light that we received on Sinai shines through us. What's a crown? Crown, I don't understand that concept. Burger King, get some hat, what is that? The concept of a crown is that it's something that beautifies your head. The most important part of your body is your head, your brains. That's who you are. That's where your soul exists. But the crown that a person wears is when they're connected not just to what, but to how. That they, not only do they know that there is something beyond, but they know how. And when you connect to that light within, so that's the crown that a person wears. I don't want to wear a crown. That's uncomfortable. I wouldn't be able to balance a crown. I wouldn't want to be a king. How do you balance a thing? That wasn't made for human heads. The concept is that, no, it's a metaphor that the glory of a person's head, who they are, ultimately comes when they connect to this purpose. So that's the Reader's Digest check that I'm delivering. Meaning, it's not just, that's a very nice culture you guys have. I respect it. I'm proud of my culture, and if I'd be Estonian, I would be proud of Estonian culture too. No, it's something deeper that is relevant to the purpose of the universe and something that's pivotal for all of us to actually get through life in a maximum way. There is something bigger than us as we speak, and access is there. I would love to go to a concert and wear an all-access pass. That's what I want. I don't want to just be limited there. I want all access. I could go anywhere I want. I have access. I have access. You have access. It's accessible. And it's not just accessible in a degree where you go for a PhD and maybe after many years you'll see the fruit of your labor. It's something that when you connect to it in any way, you are connected to the whole. Let me say that in an underline, italics, bold way. When you're connected to any part of it, you're connected to the whole, because concepts of division are only relevant to a physical world. Only in a physical world is there this and that and this and that, big and small. But in a world beyond the physical world, there is no big and small. It's all one. So whatever you study, whatever you learn, whatever you put your mind towards, you're not just connecting to philosophy that's nice, poetry that's ethical. You're connecting to a system that is a port which connects you to a dimension that is beyond this world, and that is our ultimate purpose. Yeah, and any questions on that? All right, so let me just give you the quick ice cream wrap up, because I always love cumulative. So the cumulative is like this. We said movement of the people, and we had 3 basic motions in that. We left Egypt, we went through the sea, and then we saw the sea split, and we sang. Happiness, how does a person express happiness? When they see that all their fears were nothing. Then naturally it penetrates, the goodness of the world penetrates into their heart, and without consciousness, without a decision, they sing. When we left and went through the sea, we went 7 into 8, we sang. We connected to a world that's higher. And we repeated that realm in a squared manner. 7 squared is 49. Now we're going to have to work at it. And what happened after we completed the 7 of 7s? We again, just like in the beginning, so too in the end, because there is no beginning and end. It's all one. So too when we went through the 7 times 7, we hit that level above. Now we're connected again to beyond this world. But this time it's not just that, it's how. That was the template port of the instruction book of how we today can access that reality. When you study, you're remembering, you're connecting back, and you're listening to the sound of the shofar that blew on Mount Sinai that continues to this day. When a person connects, they're connected to that whole thing. And what happened in between? We messed up. In between the leaving of Egypt and the receiving of the Torah, we did not change history and erase our mistakes. We lost a battle with we got entrapped with a battle against the nation of Amalek. And what does Amalek cools us off? Whatever. Maybe yes, maybe no. And how did we fight that? Through Joshua. And what is Yoshua? What's Joshua? He's the quintessential student of Moses, the quintessential student of Moshe. And therefore, that shows us that for us to now get to Mount Sinai, we have to gear up in passion. It says Joshua was a young person, and yet at that time he was 56 years old, because youth is not relevant to chronology. Youth is an attitude. When you are youthful and want to connect in a passionate way, now you made a mistake and you learned from it. Now you're ready for the Sinai experience. And that's the secret of the Jews. When we talk about the history, oh man, the Jewish people, only 1% constantly live and not only survive, but they thrive and they're connected to some intelligence force. It's that. When we remember, oh, you're Jewish, don't forget, never forget, here's our flag. No. It's don't forget the experience of that 50 days. Don't forget the leaving of Egypt and the receiving of the Torah. And that's something that is implanted. I don't have to guilt you into remembering it. I just have to remind you of something that you already experienced. So thank you guys.